Christmas trees, they sure are beautiful, but if not taken care of properly, this right here can happen. The National Fire Protection Association says an average of 160 fires each year are started by Christmas trees. Dee Shelton from the Greensboro Fire Department is joining us to break down all the dangers that come with the holidays and to answer your questions. Now, to get your questions to our expert today, you want to text that question to 336-379-5775. And this is one of those times where if you as a family sometimes go head to head on what should be plugged into where and why and all that other kind of stuff, this is the time for you to ask your question anonymously and get that answer. All right, Dee, we saw that video. And when you start that video, and let's go ahead and show it, it starts at 0 seconds, and like by 16 seconds, that thing is just fully engulfed.
Right, and if I know you guys don't have the ability to do it probably, but at 46 seconds, the room is completely gone. And the problem is that we're teaching people that in today's homes that are built, you've typically got between 1 and 3 minutes to get out of, whatever home you're in that's burning. But not in that situation. A lot of that depends on what is burning, and that tree being super dry, if it's not watered, it definitely can begin to burn very rapidly, and then that causes all the contents of the room to heat very quickly to great temperatures, and then the room will do what we call flash, where all the contents of the room has reached its ignition temperature, so it just completely takes over the room.
All right, so we don't want that to happen. So yes,
No.
Watering your tree is important, but before you even get your tree, you need to know what to look for. So let's talk about picking the best kind of live Christmas tree.
Right, so definitely if you give it a shake, if there's already a lot of needles falling off, you can't reverse that. So the best thing to do is just keep looking and find another tree that those needles are not falling off of so greatly. But you want to make sure that when you pick the tree, have the attendant to cut about a ½ inch or so off the end and cut it at an angle. This serves two purposes. Number one, an evergreen goes into what we call survival mode once it's cut from the farm. So it sends sap to the end to seal it off so that it stays green longer. So we've got to cut that off for it to be able to absorb the water, and cutting it at an angle keeps it from sitting flat on our surface in the bucket or the tree stand, so it allows it to absorb water more easily.
All right, when we get it home, we want to put it in the water within an hour, and we want to do warm water at least the first time around.
Right, warm water the first time, and as soon as you've purchased that tree, you need to be home within the hour. And if you're not able to, just give it that ½ inch cut again when you get home, because it's going to send that sap down again to seal it off.
All right, and that first week is key if you have a fresh tree, of watering it and checking it daily.
Right, you need to water it every day. It may, after that first week, it may be so absorbed with water that it doesn't really take it, and that's okay, but you need to at least check it to make sure.
All right, let's talk about those artificial trees. So some people are like, yep, that's why I don't mess with the real tree any longer. Artificial trees, they have some of their own dangers as well, lights for sure, but you wanted to talk about just what they were made of.
Right, so artificial trees are made from a PVC type plastic. They're typically manufactured in China. They don't typically catch fire, but they still can. They're made to be fire retardant, but they are not fireproof. The key to that, even with a live tree, we need to really make sure that what we're putting on the tree is safe, that the electrical items that we're putting on there does not have frays or broken bulbs and things that could light off the fire. Because the bottom line is, the tree, even a live tree, that was never the problem. Our problem is that we've cut it down and brought it into the home, and now we're creating those problems.
Right, yes, okay. And so when we're looking at all the lights, because we love to string all the lights together, how many lights can we string together?
No more than 3 links of light to be plugged into one outlet.
3 lights, 3 lengths of light to be plugged into one outlet. So if we've got
Right.
5 or 6, that means we have to have a second outlet. Can we use, people are going to ask, can we use an extension cord?
It's not best to use an extension cord. If you're just doing a couple of strands of lights and as temporary wiring, an extension cord can be okay, but we so easily overload an extension cord, and that's where our problem comes in, because eventually you're plugging in something else and something else. So really, in a situation like that, you would rather use a circuit interrupter strip, because that kind of monitors like our breaker box. it kind of monitors that outlet, and it keeps you from overloading it. It's going to trip if you overload it.
Okay, and then the space heater by the tree.
Never. Make sure your space heaters are far enough away from the tree. That's another issue with drying out the tree. Even a vent, an air vent above you or below you in the floor or on the ceiling, if it's, you know, it's blowing directly on that tree, it's just going to dry it out even quicker. Windows with the sun coming in, that can be an issue as well.
All right, and one other key point I remember from the last time was you cannot plug a space heater into an extension cord. You have to plug it directly into the wall because the extension cord
All
just can't
space
handle it.
heaters.
Okay,
Right.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take your text questions as we come back for the next break. 336-379-5775.